Hello, friends. Welcome to Behind the Designs, where I create a beautiful life through creative planning. I'm Stephanie, and today I'm going to be it's sort of a talking video. I'm going to show you the process that I went through, how I went through that process to transition from a classic planner to my mini planner. So that's what I want to share with you today. All right, so if you are kind of in the same boat, or this process kind of works the same for a multitude of things. If you're looking to decide what planners you want to take into the new year or mid-year, if you do a mid-year refresh, and it's going to work the same for this process that I went through. So this is the exact process that I went through to make the change from a classic to a mini almost 100%. There are a few things left in my classic that I'm working through, but I anticipate, my goal is to see if I can transition out by mid-year, and if I can't transition fully out of a classic by the mid-year, I'm hoping by 2026. So most of what I'm proceeding with is because I had already purchased this. So, I kind of wanted to use it. And I didn't want to have it go to waste. I have made a few modifications that I'm kind of doing a test run on. If they work out well for January, I'm going to bring them in and show you what they are for February. So again, that's only because I had already purchased the planner. So as you know, I kept it really slimmed down. I haven't even added tab titles yet. I've just really tried to keep the planner, super simple, kind of that setup I don't have to worry about. So sometimes when we're planning, we make things overcomplicated. There are, with planning, all the bells and whistles. You have multiple sizes, you've got stickers, you've got the accessories and the bags to put them in, and on and on and on. And sometimes in that process of enjoyment, we miss the true purpose of planning, which is really functional. It's to plan for something. If you're feeling overwhelmed, or you too want to cut down maybe from a classic to a mini, this video is about how to do that, how I did it. But if you want to go from big to classic, it's really the same process, 4 easy steps that will help you transition from whatever size planner you're in to a mini Discbound. And as I said, this is the same process I used. You can see me, just as a brief, pulling my sleeves down because it is super, super chilly where we are. I mean, maybe Arctic is probably a better word, but that's why I'm just kind of cold. That's an aside. So back to the topic. So again, this is a process that you can go through no matter what planner you're in, and whether you want to transition or you're looking to revamp your planner structure or planners for mid-year or new year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I did, and then you already know about my mini. I have it out there. I'm not done with this. So as I said, I do have a bunch more things to do with this. So stay tuned for those. And of course, there's my super secret big thing coming. You'll see some previews or teasers, and then it will be debuting next week. So I think I'm planning, it's in here. As you know, I broke out or expanded upon one of the sections in my mini for my products. And it was to get a better hold on what I was working on, what needed to be worked on, that kind of thing. So it's in here. This is my product development planner. And I believe it's the 23rd. Don't quote me on that, but definitely stay tuned. You'll hear more about it. That's not the topic for today. Today, it's all about transitioning from any size planner to a mini Discbound. So let's get started. I have over here some stickers. The reason I have them is because I use them in my process to embellish my page. Because, I have the stickers, so yeah, I'm going to use them. And you should too. So I've used these. They are from the Homebody collection. That particular collection is no longer available, but they have come out with versions of it, the Happy Planner. There is, I think, Homebody Seasons, and I want to say there's another one, but I don't know offhand the name of it. So I used the stickers to embellish my page, and this is what I did. I'm going to cut right into my process. Okay, so this is my notes and things tab. Now, let me preface this with saying that will I ever totally get rid of a classic? I don't think so. Will I use it as a planner, like a function planner? That's what I'm getting away from. So, things develop, things change. Who knows? It could be different 6 months from now. But right now, and for the past, probably since about August, September 24, that's kind of been the place where I've been gearing towards. I've taken my planning system, I've segmented it, and the classic will remain in the picture, but not as a planner. So not with, any of that. It'll basically be functioning as a notebook. More to come on that. Let's get to this. So what you're going to do, I have an easy 4-step process for identifying and evaluating and in a process. I have a process already finished. I'm going to show you how I did it. In my classic, I'm going to show you it in here because this is what I transitioned from. So let's just cut right to it. So the first step when you want to transition from any size planner, whether disc-bound, rings, personal, traveler's notebook, whatever your system is, the first thing you want to do is, step number 1 is identify your current system. So to assist me in doing that, I pulled out one of the teacher planners. This is a checklist, a classroom checklist from one of the teacher planners I had in my stash. And I pasted it to a notepad. It was a notepad from the Homebody collection. It comes as a pad, and then you can punch it, put it in your planner, so you can make notes, put it in. It's an exact classic size notepad. So again, back to step number 1, you want to identify your current system by making a list of everything in your planner, probably by tab and or main topic that you want to be sure to include. So for example, when I started this process, my current classic was set up by tabs, and it was a very simple, I had top tabs, and then I had, of course, a few bottom tabs. These sub-content or sub-topics, let's say, were actually side tabs. So I kind of had a top and a side tab system going. And so basically what I did was I went through and I listed all of the tab subjects or topics that were in my current classic planner. And then I also, because at the time I did already have a mini started. So I went through and I grabbed the additional tabs or topics that were in my mini that, so this comprised my whole system from about August to November, I think it was, of 2024. So these were all the tabs or topics. And then what I did was I put up here for my columns, I put I made a check or an X if it was currently in my mini, because I did not need to say, okay, so for goals, there was a goals tab in my mini and my classic, but I didn't need to write goals twice here. All I had to do was check it off. So I created a checklist for the topics that were in what planner. So the first column was currently my mini. The second column was at the time my classic, or what I was calling my catch-all. And then I had a traveler's notebook in play, as well as it came later, but I did have a classic size Jane's Agenda notebook that I had compiled to hold all of the personal development things that were previously in my classic. So I kind of took that, what was in here, and this was up here as well. But I separated it because it was at the end of the year already in another classic size. So again, the goal is to get rid of the classic as a planner, not maybe a reference or notebook type deal. So first step is super easy, right? You're going to go through, you're going to pull out the planners you have, and you're going to make a list of your tabs. Typically, your tabs are the things that matter most to you. So that's important to know. Now, I did have a few things that may have been sub tab to the sub, if that makes sense. So for example, I may have had, let's see. Okay, so under home, which really housed my projects, I had as a subcategory, memories, extra pages, and holidays. Within holidays, I had two of them at the time. I had Thanksgiving and Christmas. So those were kind of two within the holiday tab. But I did not make those sub-categorizations in this. They were important, but for the purpose of this and literally 10 and a half months of the year, I don't need to have the detail about holidays. So I went through, compiled a list of all the tabs which are topics that matter to me. And then I just kind of checked off what planner they were in. So the junior planner here, again, I'm calling it a planner because it does have a calendar in it, but I'm planning in it. That came in 2025, so that's why that's not listed here. So step number one, identify your topics. Okay, so the next step number two, is you're going to make an evaluation. So you want to review your list from this step, which is step one. So you're going to review your list and ask yourself the same questions you basically kind of ask yourself at the end of the year when you're planning your new year planner lineup. You're going to ask yourself, what worked? What didn't? What can I eliminate? What can I keep? So you basically want to answer those questions. And that is where you're really going to hone in on what it is you really want in your planner. Sometimes for people, planning is about decorative, planning. Other people, it's about function. And then other people, it's about both decorative and function. So, in the background of your mind, you have to have some idea of what your goal is with your planner. What do you want it to do for you? If it's to give you joy week to week when you have to set up your planner, or your week for the new week for work or what have you, and if decorating does that for you, that may work for you. But everyone is different, and so you have to ask these questions, whether you're transitioning up, down in size, or at the end of the year. So and sometimes I was finding during this process that I was seeing something that worked, but also didn't work. Probably a classic is, no pun intended, classic. I want to say it was the reference. So I wanted to eliminate the detailed reference notes from the mini. So what happened was I did have reference in my classic, I did have reference in my mini, but I found that when it comes to that topic for me, reference is it's like research or notes or things that have a lot of detail to it. So I was finding I just didn't have the room in my mini. Now that is a topic all in itself, the size of the mini. Some people are like, you know what, I just can't plan in a mini. And that may be you, but if you really want to downsize, this is a process that will work for you. So back to my reference. Yeah, there wasn't enough room for me to do what I wanted to do in the mini without using multiple pages. And then it would take up space in my planner. But on that same note, I also put on the keep to keep the reference and just move it to a notebook. So it's not in my classic, it would be in a notebook. And then also to that note, I put keep less detailed reference notes in my mini. So that may just mean, take a look at, this type of planner. I'm just, pulling something out. And then from there, that note, I would go to my notebook reference and, start developing that idea or what have you. Again, just a general example to try and help you see what I was thinking when I did this. So, so that was like, you will find things that kind of carry over to both, and you just kind of have to find that way to work with it. So you may still, and I'll be forthright in saying, I do still have a classic kind of notebook. I'm going to be sharing the details of that in the coming weeks. So again, be sure you're subscribed. Stay tuned for that. But the goal is to eventually get away from this planner as a planner and literally work off of one calendar. So that's the goal. Plus, when I think about like my desk space when I'm working, the mini just worked better. So keeping it on my desk worked for mini. Classic, it does, I could fold it over. That's not an issue. But I think I was just in that season where I wanted to do something smaller. So again, for everyone, it's different, but you're going to make this evaluation. What worked for you? What didn't? What do you want to eliminate and what do you want to keep? So then what I did from there, you kind of have to, in the back of your mind, you have to be asking yourself also, what elements of what I want to keep can be transitioned over? Again, this goes back to that reference notes. It's a classic example because I have them in both and I kind of need them in both. This is about needs now, not wants, it's needs. I need to have some kind of section where I can, jot some quick notes and then later on go back to it and get a more detailed whatever, listing, writing, scripting, whatever it may be, or even developing an idea. So I had to have it in both. So what I then did by having that in the back of my mind, my next step was to go through what I wanted to keep and highlight the items that I absolutely decided I needed. So it may not be the all-inclusive list, but the purpose of doing it was to highlight, bring to the forefront, what am I seeing that I need in my mini, to help me plan on a day-to-day basis. So in that process, it gave me my forward plans, goals, newsletter. I had decided that I needed to keep 12 months worth of a calendar in my mini. So as you know, I've gone through multiple changes with my, classic and Franken planning and different planners for different things. And, it can get out of hand quickly, as we all know as planners. But, it just got to the point where having multiple calendars didn't make sense to me. So plus I would have, if this was so full, I may have only been able to keep 6 months in here, either 3 months or 6 months, because I was carrying all these other things. So I had decided that that doesn't work for me, because then when I get down to, let me make sure nothing was there. When I get down to, so if I'm in January and I want to plan something tentatively out for August, I don't have that with me to do that. So if I had carried this out with me, if I didn't have my August calendar, I couldn't make that plan. And again, there is in the beginning of most planners those forward planning pages, but again, I found I really didn't use those much. I really do focus in on the month layout. I do like the structure of the month. And, I can put in sticky notes of what topic I think I want to put where. I will miss, I'm not going to lie about that, I will miss the size of this calendar, but I also know that I never really ever filled up a whole block unless it was my creative journal. So it just kind of felt like a waste. So as I said, I'm going to go for however long I'm going to go in this. But and this only is serving as a blog planner. So I'm kind of just doing blog things in it. But this mini is going to be like the main planner. It is, and it's what I go to, but I still have to come here because, again, I feel the guilt that I bought it, I haven't used it. So, try not to get in that cycle. It can get very overwhelming sometimes. So your third step is going to be identifying what do you need in this mini, because as you'll find as you go through this process, you will find that there are a lot of things that you carried in your current simply because, or your classic, simply because you had the space or it was a big enough page or what have you. You're going to find that you have topics that you probably don't need. Or that, again, how important is it to your day? So if you are a content creator, having the holidays in your planner, how important is that? For you, maybe it is, maybe someone else it's not. So the purpose of highlighting it in your third step is to determine, do I need it? Do I need to take this into my mini with me? Okay, so this will probably be a short video, yay. And it is all talking, but I'm showing you my process. You have time enough to read through my thought process and how I went through things. I loved this paper because it gave me the checklist or bullet list up here, and then I just created a shorter one down here. And then for my last step, I completed it at the very bottom. So in your last step, in the fourth step to transitioning from any size into a mini, you are now going to take all this information that you worked on, that you pulled, that you identified, that you evaluated, that you identified as your need to have in a planner, and you're now going to create your topics or your tabs. So in this case, you're now organizing your planner. You're taking the information, and it's not to say that every way that this is written, that it's set up like that in here. I may have put, my shop before routines and vice versa. So what you're doing down at the very bottom of your sheet, again, this is how I did it. However you choose to do it, just know that all you're doing is you're making a list. You're organizing what is important. You've taken this information of what's important, and you're going to organize it into a list of the things that you feel you absolutely want to see in your mini. And then you're going to go through, excuse me, had a little cough. And then, you're just going to kind of just brain dump it. Write down everything you think. Now, I would suggest for all of this, because I had used it multiple times, using a friction pen. I have all these beautiful pens and I love them. They're beautiful. But this friction pen, I resisted it for a long time because I heard people saying that like the ink would disappear. Luckily, so far, I haven't seen that, but I cannot stress the enjoyment when you mess up on a page and you can just erase it. It's, if you like your page to look nice or you mess up on something, I'm telling you, having the friction pen is to erase it out, golden. Love it. So I would suggest having a friction pen. I did use for this process all friction pens. So I used a black pen. I used a green pen to kind of give me some highlights here and there. I think I may have used it over here too. No, I didn't, but that's okay. I only used a hair. I thought I would use it more, but I didn't. And then I used the highlighter, absolutely, because I was highlighting the needs in step 3. And then I would use the highlighter as a bullet point for step 4, which was to now organize all the information I analyzed, collected, and determined was necessary. So that's when the fun begins, because now that you have this, you now know what your setup is going to basically be like. So from here, you want to make sure that you order the things, if you don't have them, that you need. For example, if you have more, in my case, my bullet points were tabs. So I have a tab for each of these. The only thing I had to order at the time was the tabs for the 12-month calendar. So I have a single tab that is for the agenda. And then I had purchased let me see if I can show you here. I purchased turn this over. Oh, so anyhow, it's all these tabs here. So these are mini tabs. They came in a set of 12 from Jane's Agenda. They are, I think they're still in the shop, but, and they may even be on sale. So, you definitely want to go and jump on that if you think you're going to want to add that style to your mini. So that was the only thing I had to order. So as I said, you want to make sure once you do this step, you may want to go into a next list of what do I need to set this planner up if you don't have the things already. You may already have some things that you can kind of fashion until, other things come in. That's up to you. The other thing I did when I went into 2025 was I no longer was using the Happy Planner mini calendar. So there was nothing wrong with their calendar. I had a planner I could have used, but I wanted to have all of the Jane's Agenda products in my mini because I felt like since I was using the discs, it was less work on me to have to trim down the paper. I can just throw it in there. It would glide easily over the discs, and I would have everything uniform. There would be, none of this decorative stuff. The pages that came out of there were functional. So, again, I just wanted to tone everything out and then start fresh. So, which is what I did 2025. So that is kind of the process, basically. It's not even kind of, it is literally the process I went through to go from a classic to a mini. Now, I could absolutely ditch this tomorrow and none of my plans would be messed up because I have my mini already set up and I had already been working in it. So just know that if you are downsizing, significantly. So if you're going from big to mini, you definitely want to go through these 4 steps to make sure you pull out all the things that are important, because going from big to mini is a big step, no pun intended. But what you're going to want to do is you want to make sure you very succinctly decide and determine what's going to work for you in your planner. And then from there, you get your supplies. So you order whatever supplies you may need to set up. And then after that, now you're ready to actually start the setup. And what you're going to do is you're going to, start with your tabs, get your things in there. You may find you're going to move things around. There was one other note. Let me see. Oh, it was copying your information. So whether you're going from big to mini, classic to mini, you will need to copy some information over. So, it may not be the calendar because, again, you can pull in calendar pages if you want. I did not have much copying that I needed to do because I was already kind of running both at the same time, and they kind of had the same subjects. So, there were a few things which I did not copy over only because it probably was just going to be a huge waste of my time because it was so much information, which was like my content. So what I started to do is I started keeping in here a fresh list of content ideas for my various channels. But I do still have the original and I do reference it. So, at this point, you're going to be, once you list, you grab whatever you need shop-wise, and you get it set up, and now you're going to start making that copying of information from whatever size you're coming from to the mini. So when you do your shopping or you pull out your stash or whatever, you want to make sure you have enough mini paper or paper you can cut down to accommodate all of the information you are transferring over, and then any information going forward when you're actually using the mini. So in a short enough video, I hope I have outlined easily enough for you the various steps, more specifically, 4 easy steps to transition from whatever size, whatever planner into a mini disc. So that all said, I will, don't forget, I'll say, in the description box below, if you think you want to do a mini and you want to check out Jane's agenda, there is a discount link below in the description box where you will get a discount off your order, 10%. Every little bit helps, in my opinion. Don't be afraid to say, I have all this mini stuff, but I don't want to use it. I want to use this. I know that you're going to spend the money maybe to make a transition, but if spending that money to make that transition is going to make you more productive and successful with using your planner, don't second guess yourself. You will always have that mini there, the mini stuff from Happy Planner that you can use periodically in your new setup. But if you feel that having a brand new, fresh start setup is going to work better, then by all means jump for it and do it. Because that's going to really ultimately determine, your success. So, you all have seen my mini with my 2-inch discs, and you can see she is jammed up full. I don't think I can get anything more in here. So, and that is why, as I said, I went, when your mini gets to a point where it's like really full, you may need to open up the idea of, do I need to put something into another planner? You also know that I recently just set up a mini social media planner, which there's not much to say on it yet because I haven't really used it much. But whether I stay with it or go back and put everything in here, that's to be determined. But don't be afraid once you get in it that if you expand beyond it, just do it wisely, meaning don't do it with this this attitude of, I am going to make all of these planners work. That's kind of passe at this point. Everyone's done it, everyone's gone through it. We all have purchases that we may or may not wished we had purchased, but don't take the idea of maybe expanding into a different planner just to test it, see how it works, as a failure transitioning to a mini. Don't look at it that way. So I probably have babbled long enough. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video because I could go on. When it's something I'm passionate about, I could just talk. But we're not going to do that. So just quickly to review, if you're transitioning from any size planner to a mini, Step 1 is to identify. Step 2 is to evaluate. Step 3 is to highlight your needs, like literally highlight your needs. Step 4 is to organize that information into categories and then get ready to start getting set up. So those are 4 easy steps, right? It's so easy. You don't have to get super, sophisticated with how you do it. Just pull out a piece of paper and start writing it all down. That's how it starts. And then take that small information and then start expanding on it. And so that you compile the planner you need. All right, so enough about that. I'm going to pull this over because this is really front and center now in my planning game. And, it's the one that I go to. It's the first one, it's open. It's the first one I look at. It's the first one I go to. It's the only one I work in. I sometimes even forget to pull out my classic anymore. And I just write the stuff in on the calendar in here. So, this is a kit from Jane's Agenda. You don't need the kit to get you started, but if you love to embellish and make your planner look pretty and have other things coming to you within that box, consider subscribing. But use the discount code below for a discount off your order and get started today in your mini. So many fun things are coming. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more. Fun things for mini, fun things for the shop, and we're just going to rock and roll this year out, right? All right. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you know when I post my next video. And then you know what to do with the description box below. Be sure to take advantage of that discount code. So I hope you have a wonderful day as you create a beautiful life, one mini planner at a time. Thank you for watching.